If you're anything like me, then productivity is peak during exams. I'll do literally anything to avoid studying, and animation seemed like a worthy addition to my methods of wasting time. In order to not mess up, I first did some preparatory work. First, this zoom effect, then a squishy ball. I wasn't happy with the hair strand movement in the first one, so I did some targeted practice on floaty bits, and after having achieved smooth follow through, I learned how to do walk and run cycles before attempting to put something after the zoom effect's black frame, which looks like this. I didn't render the second part because I was simply too hyped to actually start animating all my IDs. First was a Hollow Knight animation featuring grubs, and the goal was to make it cursed, so you should all know what I'm about to do. I started by sketching a grub coming out of the ground, and my boy is cute, but that can't last. So here's the full sketched out sequence. The last part looked a little artificial, so I replaced it with a backflip. Then I refined the line art and added some text to make the still frame funnier and more thumbnailable, and now it looks like this. The last thing left to do is color, which took a surprising amount of time, mostly because I wanted to at least do some basic shading. Next, I adjusted the last few frames because I wanted to make it loop, and here's the result. The animation took a total of 86 frames, and I think I did fairly okay, especially considering this was my first properly finished animation. Now, for the second sequence, I chose Deltarune as a theme, and I wanted it to be jarring, which is perfect because in the last scene of chapter 1, the main character is literally ripping their own heart out. I wanted this one to be a bit more of a streamlined process, so I spent more time on the sketch to make sure I knew what I was doing and where I was going. And as you can see, this animation is a lot more ambitious regarding perspective and movement. The previous animation was about 5 actions, if we're being generous that is, while this one has at least 3 times as much. It also covers the whole sequence at the end of chapter 1, standing up with some extra twists and turns to make it more dramatic. Stretching out their hand, but with a spin on it. Doing the grabby thing before lunging into their own chest while screaming. Holding the heart out, and finally, throwing it in a birdcage. Then I proceeded onto the line art, which took a while and was by far the most tedious, but now it looks like this. And after that, I'm sorry to say I wasn't really feeling the potential anymore, as I would have to do a lot of modifications to have it make sense, like explaining the lack of clothes in the second part. I also envisioned a lot of background animation, which probably would have felt like a drag. So instead of doing that, I decided upon studying a bit more for my last exam. Have a good rest of your day.